Yo, what's going on, y'all? My name is Coach G.
And I'm your man, Cat Fitness.
And we are a part of PlantPoweredBrothaz. Today we got a nice episode going on.
Amazing episode. Why you say nice?
My bad.
Come on,
let me add a little more onto it. So, an amazing episode. And the amazing episode is titled, How to Navigate Your Kids' Health as a Whole. You know, we're talking about all types of health. So, a couple of things have happened to me this week that, kind of tested me. And, I'll break down the story to you. Yeah. So basically, my son was at some family's house. We're not going to say no names. Yeah. And basically, I found out that this family member just is allowing my son to eat things that we don't eat in our own household. And so for me, that was kind of like, I'm like, whoa. Like, how long you been doing that?
You already know. They already know you have certain boundaries.
Exactly.
And they're breaking those boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. And so we had a long conversation about that via Facebook, and some family members jumped in, and some people got mad, and some people was like, "Don't put this on Facebook," and you know what I'm saying? Like, and it started off because my nephew came to help me, and I posted a picture of him eating healthy, and I made a comment about choices. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's amazing to me how, when you are doing something, how some people just want to be so anti. You know what I mean? Like, and I look at it, I'm like, how can you be anti-health? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how can you be anti someone choosing a path to eat healthier?
Yeah. Or just be healthy in general.
Yeah. And so it leads me to believe that we got a lot of things, that's deep within us that don't allow us to really be.
So let me add on to the experience, because I have the same issue with some family members and my sons when they're over at other people's houses. Yeah. Even when they go over to their grandmother's house, for example, right? I try to keep everything as clean as possible for my kids, right? But then if they go over to my mom's house, she'll give them cheese because she's not plant-based, right? And I was like, hey, Mom, I don't do it. Well, you grew up on cheese and it didn't kill you yet. Right. And be like, well, just because it didn't kill me yet, doesn't mean that's what I want to introduce to my kids. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Little things like that, like contradicting the things that I'm trying to implement with my kids.
It's messing up your structure. Exactly. So like as a parent, you have a structure. You have a way that you would like your child to grow up to get the best experience possible.
Exactly.
And I think nobody should get in the way of that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like the same thing you said, like, oh, you didn't die from it. One of my friends said that. Oh, it's not gonna kill him. Yeah. Why do I even want to get to that point? Yeah. Like why do I want to take my child to the point of even experimenting with anything that I know that's harmful? Yeah. And then it goes back to this thing called cognitive ignorance. You know what I mean? It's like it's different if you don't know it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're like unconsciously ignorant.
Exactly.
But when you are cognitively ignorant, that's where the issue comes. Like, this stuff is not good, but you're still going to keep introducing it to yourself.
Exactly. And I tell people like this, okay? For example, if you go out and smoke cigarettes today, next week, next month, are you going to have cancer?
No.
Today, next week, or next month? No, not necessarily. But over time, you're going to have those carcinogens inside your body. Cancer can develop. The same thing with the meats, the processed meats, and certain products that are out there, right? So why expose my kid to that, knowing that it can increase the percentage of them getting these diseases, which we notice runs in the family. Exactly. And they're asking, well, I don't know, whatchamacallit has cancer and he never smoked and he just got it. Right. What was he eating? Oh, you always want to say it's the food. Well, it is the food. Right. They want to downplay that and say, oh, well, you're going to die from something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like, and I think the biggest thing that upset me is just like, how long has that been going on? Yeah. Like, and then it's almost like, if this is what I'm about, then that means that, that means you're sabotaging. Number one, you're sabotaging my son. Because you're putting him in a predicament that I don't put him in. Exactly. So if I don't do it, it'd be a different story if I did it with my son.
Yeah.
So now that's just like saying, this person was like, oh, if it's sugar, kids like sugar, and so they're gonna find a way to sneak it, and if they sneak it, it ain't nothing I could do about it. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. So does the same thing go with like heroin that may be on the table, or some weed that may be on the table, or you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that? Where's the line?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you have that thought process, that means that you're basically like turning your back to allow something to happen.
Oh, we got some comments.
Yeah, we got some comments. We got Kendall. Glad you're talking about the subject. We are having family meeting this week to lay down. Let me go to that real quick. Lay down family rules. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is making sure everybody's all on the same page. It's like, I shouldn't have to keep my son from my family because of their food choices.
Exactly.
And that's what this turns into. It turns into like, I got to be careful on where I leave my son at, because my son is not going to be under the same care as he is with me. Like when he's with me, he has no problem eating everything that we eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then everybody's like, oh, he don't want that. Yeah. He wants this. No, and this is what I said. I said, until my son is able to buy groceries, and until he's working, and he's able to buy groceries, he's gonna eat what I put on his plate.
Exactly.
Period. Yeah. And nobody should get in the middle of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for me, that was just like one of the biggest things. Is like, like you're kind of allowing that way out. You're creating a front in my parenting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a door open when it comes to you.
And what I've noticed too, which I mean, it happens.
What's up, Devin?
What's going on, Devin? It happens like, say for instance, let's use my mom again for the example. Granny, they go over to Granny's house, right?
Yeah.
Grandkids want some ice cream, right?
Right.
I get them some almond ice cream, almond-based ice cream, and she'll just buy ice cream, right? My son came home a couple weeks back. I was like, oh, my stomach is hurting. I said, well, what did you eat today? Well, I ate this and that, and I had some ice cream. I was like, was it the ice cream that we eat? No. I said, see, son? Those are effects. Your body's rejecting it. Right. So I'm letting him know when his body's telling him, you know what I'm saying? Something's not right. And I'm like, son, that's why I don't put that in your body.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's now making the connection. So when he's over there, it's like, no. I don't eat that kind of ice cream, or that's not the kind of ice cream that I put in my body. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So empowering them to be able to make their own decisions.
And I think that's a solution to that. A solution is kind of educating your kid to that way you remove the outside force. And I think right now, like when kids are really young, they get into like that not a rebellious stage, but it's where they want to they want to automatically go against you because of the fact that just going against opposition.
I'm having that issue with my 14-year-old.
Yeah,
he's in high school. He hang out with the friends are doing what they do, and he has to learn. I can only tell him the stove is hot so many times before he touches it, burns himself, and then he comes to his own realization that, Pops had something. He knew what he was talking about at the end of the day.
And I think that's what it is too. The grand scheme of things is that our kids are going to come around to their own thoughts and their own opinions about whatever it is that we're doing. But for me, it's just like making sure that I'm providing the best pathway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that my kid has the best sight, because I didn't have that sight. Yeah. I didn't have somebody that was concerned about me, we're not gonna say concerned about me. I didn't have somebody that was really concerned about the food that I ate, how much water I drank, making sure I'm drinking soda, making sure I got good food habits. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and for me, that's what I want to embark on my son. And you brought up a good point. I think somebody said something in the comments, and they were just talking about, like, if that's how you want to raise your son, people should respect that. Exactly. And for me, I just don't get why it's so much opposition to my seed. You know what I mean?
Well, because it questions what they've been doing with not only themselves, but the kids that they're raising. You know what I'm saying? They're raising their kids like, hey, this is what I do with myself, this is what I do with my kid. Now I have to question those things when your kid is there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I think what it does is it forces another parent to reflect. Because now you got to reflect. Like if my son is drinking water all the time and you feeding your kids juice,
and soda,
then you feel a certain way about that, because now it's like, oh, I got to monitor. I'm giving my kid this, but I got to monitor it when this kid is around.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, I feel like, another solution is bringing the food, making sure your kid has all the food that they need whenever they go somewhere. But on the flip side of that, now I've wasted many dollars on food, because what people will do is they'll be like, oh,
He didn't want
that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for me, it's just like, wait, when he here, if he don't want it now, he'll eat it later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and because we don't got food to waste like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I think another thing too is school. I had to show up at school today and write a form about why my son is not going to eat this snack and not going to eat this. Like, they actually had it to where he had milk.
Wow.
Like, he had milk and cookies when he came. When his mom came one time, she said she saw him with milk and cookies.
Wow.
And I'm like, I came in and I told him, like, yo,
cool.
we not doing that. Yeah. From day one, I let them know, like, y'all don't gotta feed them.
So what did they? I mean, you had to fill out a form, like a.
Yep, you got to fill
like an allergy kind of thing, or
it's similar to an allergy form, but what it is they have a request form that you let the staff know, and it could be for religious reasons, or it could be for personal choice.
Yeah.
But so I had to fill that out, and for me, I just feel like I shouldn't have to do that. Like, if I tell you don't got to feed my child, then don't feed him. I'll feed him.
So what happens? So now it kind of brings it to this scenario. Your kids at school, one of their friends having a birthday, they bring in the cupcakes or whatever the case may be. Now everybody's eating the cupcakes, all the friends are eating the cupcakes. Your child's sitting there like, well, why can't I have a cupcake? All my friends are eating the cupcakes.
Well, let's just be real with it. In most schools' handbooks, you're not supposed to bring those type of things to school. So if you go into the school board and look in their rule book, there's a rule that says that they are not supposed to have those things at school.
Allowed, yeah.
Period. Yeah. So
but everybody's doing it.
Yeah. And so that's what it is. And so it's like, for me, the solution to that is giving my son an acceptable. I guess for me, that's what they were like. Oh, what happens when the kid brings in cupcakes? And I'm like, first of all, I don't want my son getting into snacking. You know what I mean? Like, why do I want my son to get into? Oh shit, we got 5 minutes. Why do I want my son to get into thinking about snacking? Snacking sets up bad food habits. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my son to eat square meals, so there is no issue with him eating what he's supposed to eat when he's supposed to eat it.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, if you have to conform in that way, the best thing would be to do is to, have a snack ready to go for your child at school. You know what I mean? Like, have something ready, so therefore, when they feel that need, and I don't know, I just don't like that join the pack behavior. You know what I mean? Like
everybody else is doing it.
Because everybody else smoking weed and drinking. So let me do it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a bad thing that we create from a young age. So it's like, it almost make you feel like homeschooling your kid. You know what I mean? Like, as much people say, oh, they need to socialize, they need to do this, they need to do that. But it's just too many bad influences that come with certain culture that that you don't want to be involved in. Like, I don't want to have to fight with somebody about what to feed my son. Like, period.
Exactly.
I don't want to fight with my family. I don't want to fight with no school system. I don't want to fight with my friends about what to feed my son. Like,
something
period.
simple.
Yeah, and I think the main thing too is, like, if you in a relationship, is making sure that you and the person that you decide to get into a relationship with are on the same page. And if you're not, what'll happen is it'll be a battle.
So this brings up the next topic. So did you and her go vegan at the same time, or was she vegan?
So this is how that went. I agree.
Because my wife went vegan after me, and she didn't plan on going vegan after I went vegan. It kind of just happened.
So it was kind of like I did it first, and one thing I could suggest to you is the number one thing I'll say is find somebody that's about what you were about from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't try to convert anybody. Don't try to hope somebody will switch over. Don't try to hope that you can convince somebody, because you can't. And then what happens is, what happened in my situation was, it was kind of like a sort of a spite. It's like the person did it because I was around, because I was heavy into it.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why she did it. But
it wasn't speaking to her.
It wasn't speaking to her, because what would happen is she would be eating stuff that she normally eats, like cheese and stuff like that. And it was like, I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm not here to control you. Just don't give my son that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's my biggest thing, is like, okay, I'm not here to control who you are. You are your own person. You're gonna be who you're gonna be, and you're gonna come to whatever decision you come to at that right time.
Yeah. I wonder, in that particular scenario, like, how does that look to the child if one parent's doing one thing and you know that's not good, and they're watching their other parent doing it with no hesitation. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it's confusing.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing, and I think that's the biggest thing, is that whenever you're dealing with kids, you don't want to be confusing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, because it creates division. So like, if you come over one parent's house, like let's just say it's separate houses, because some parents are in those situations. If you come into one parent's house and it's this way, and you come into that parent's house and it's this way, the kid is gonna want where they could get the stuff that they want at. You know what I mean? They're not gonna they're not gonna want to go where they can get stuff that they need. They're gonna go where they get stuff they want, and that's gonna create a division.
Yeah.
But the flip side to that is like, you got to be mindful of what divisions you're creating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when your kids get older, you know what I mean? Like, let's just say if it is a separate household, every parent has their position in the thing. You know, we would say the mom is definitely the nurturer. You know what I mean? And the dad is kind of like the discipline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the nurture and the discipline go together. You know what I mean? And so, you know, and I'm not saying that the mom cannot discipline. It's just sometimes, you know, the kid, depending on if it's a little boy or a little girl, it's different how they receive it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they need that.
I was gonna say, my wife says this all the time. She was like, well, they just respond differently to you when you say something.
Exactly.
If it's the bass in your voice or whatever the case may be, they just respond differently.
Right.
Because it's the male figure, and they feel like, okay,